Well, hello, and welcome to another little bit of positive balance in an uncertain world with Therapy Ted and me. Now, today there's a general balance going to be put in place, and then I'm going to be discussing a little bit about how kinesiology, how the balance works remotely. So you're sat at home, I'm here, we have Therapy Ted. How does all that work? So hopefully by the end of this particular balance, that will be a bit clearer. So the first thing that I want to say is that if you haven't watched the video on what is kinesiology, I'll put a link up here, then I suggest you go and watch that possibly first. Certainly if you're new to the videos, then maybe that might be a good idea to go and have a look at that. And then I'll explain a bit more later. So we're going to put balance in place to start with. So it's a quantum kinesiology balance. We do have energy permission to hold the emotional stress release points. And again, there's another video that explains about those. And then the Cosbats are going to be on the root chakra. So this is kind of where your energy center is. This is the color is red, and that's where a lot of your power is, but it's also where you feel grounded. So that's really important for you to be kind of stable and sort of flowing through life well. Right, okay, so the first harmonic is an original trigger, and that's ancestral inheritance. So those pesky ancestors again, we didn't need to know any more about that. So there's just something that you've inherited from your ancestors that is no longer necessary. So we're going to remove that as an energy vibration. Your second harmonic is survival mechanisms. And as we've explained in the past, this is how you react to things. So this is when kind of push comes to shove, your subconscious mind goes into overdrive and you react rather than having more of a conscious, well, okay, I feel a bit like this, so I'll do that. And this is negative beliefs. Now, we didn't have to find out what those are. Obviously, if you were having a one-to-one session, we probably would. But obviously, as there's a number of you watching this, and you'll all have different negative beliefs. So some of those are may actually be more true, even though they're negative, and some of them won't be. So this balance will be looking at whichever ones are appropriate for you for us to actually remove, so you don't carry on thinking those negative beliefs. And that might be about yourself, or it might be about the world around you. Then we've got the coronavirus harmonic. There's a specific harmonic for that. So we have that one. Then we've got element needs recognition. There's 4 elements. You've got your heart, mind, body, and soul. And this one is particularly soul. The last harmonic is a universal law. Universal laws are things which we sort of take for granted that are right. So these are truths that you have. The more you think about something, the more likely you are to attract it to you. So if you have a more negative viewpoint on certain things, you're more likely to attract that to you. Now, the one we've got is actually the universal law of connection, which is very good for what I'm going to be talking about in a minute, because the universal law of connection is we are all one. Okay, so Therapy Ted will do his stuff. And I'm going to pop him just here on the, there we go, young man, excellent. And then I'm going to put a little bit of music on in the background, mainly because we do actually have a storm running around at the moment, and we have had some thunder and lightning. So hopefully this might just mask that out a bit if we suddenly get a thunder strike overhead. Okay. So close your eyes if that's convenient, if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, if you'd rather just sort of soft focus, and you can kind of have a little look at Therapy Ted if you want. through that kind of softened focus. I want you to take 3 deep breaths. And then I want you just to think about, how does your body feel? Is there any tightness somewhere? Any tingling? Any kind of pressure? Don't get worried about it. Just recognize it's there if there's anything there, and then just kind of let it go. Okay, so a little bit about how I see that kinesiology works remotely. Now, different people may have different understandings of this, and some people may obviously say, well, I can't see how that possibly works. So for me, it all boils down to this sort of law of connection, that we are all one. And if you look into the realms of quantum physics, and I've done a little bit of reading on this over sort of past 10 years or so, trying to get my head around it, not exactly 100% certain whether I've got it all sort of sorted, and I have mentioned this in previous videos. But at the quantum physics level, everything is connected. So everything that in the energy world is connected, and you cannot destroy energy. It will always be there. And when you bear in mind that we are made up of energy, so if I'm made up of energy, Therapy Ted is made up of energy. He may not be living in the same way that I am, but he's still created out of energy, which just happens to, rather than being bones and blood and flesh and sort of tissues, different kinds of tissues and cells, he's sort of soft stuffing and plush fabric and little bits of sort of plasticky bits for his eyes. But all that, when you break it way down, is still has this vibration, this energy vibration. Now, if we accept that everything is connected, all energy is connected, then anything that happens to me can also happen, or the vibration of that can be received by Therapy Ted, by you sitting in your home. And we get a bit more of an understanding of this when we look at some research that's been done. I think it was in Germany, and they looked at these enormous forests of trees that they have in Germany, and they wanted to find out how fast they know that messages pass between trees. So they wanted to find out how fast is that, because their theory was that it's going from tree to tree to tree to tree to tree, and in some way the messages are going down through the roots are interconnected, so then they pass, on and on, and that's how they get to the other side of the forest. And the reason they know this is because if a tree on the right hand side of the forest gets a particular kind of fungus, very quickly a tree on the left side of the forest will start producing the antidote for that particular fungus. Now, nobody went and told that tree that this fungus was present, 50 miles away, or how far it was. And the scientists realised that it couldn't quite be this from tree to tree to tree to tree, because it happened far too fast. In the same way that they're now thinking that within us, they've always thought that the way that our bodies work is that we have a thought that then goes into, from like synapse to synapse to synapse. It has this little kind of pathway it kind of goes down until it gets to the end result, wherever it needs to be, and then something happens. But they now realize that it happens too fast. There's no way you can have this relay with some things because it's instantaneous. It's like the thought is there, the reaction is there, and it's just way too fast. So there has to be another way of this happening. And this is how I see it, the fact that it is this fact that we are all connected. Now, I don't think any of us have the absolute answers for this. We do know that if you split, at the quantum physics level, if you split a particle and you move one particle over here and another particle over there, and you do something to this particle, that particle will react in the same way. Sadly, the experiment they did, which I always felt really, really sad, is the fact that they took a plant which they'd split, and one plant they put into one room, another plant they put into another room, completely sealed, and then they started to do things to the leaf of one of the plants. So they kind of stuck something through it, they cut it, they burnt it, they did all sorts of different things. And they had the other plant wired up. And what they realised was that when this plant was damaged, this plant reacted. So we've got all of these rather strange things going on, which for me explains how I can sit here and I can do something here, and I have the intention that whatever I do will have an effect on you at an energetic level, because that's where we're working with kinesiology. We're working at an energetic level, certainly when we're doing it distantly. And even if you're in the clinic with me, you know, we put a balance in place, but ultimately, unless I'm doing one of the kinesiologies that require some hands-on work, like rubbing points or something like that, we're basically putting an energetic balance in place, which is then carrying on and then allowing your body to restack its energies so it's a little bit more balanced than it was before. And that's one of the reasons, obviously, we take off a lot of the baggage, then sometimes you can feel quite tired after kinesiology because there's been quite a lot going on. Some clients feel like they've almost like run a marathon at the end of some sessions because there's been so much energy work going on. And I know for a lot of clients who have had sessions both in the clinic and they've had private sessions virtually, then they say that they find out that equally as much goes on, or sometimes more goes on. They feel more going on in their bodies. Now, I understand that if you are not somebody who actually feels different things going on in your body, then that's maybe a little bit harder to get your head around. But sometimes I think you are aware of a sense of heaviness, or kind of a real settling, of feeling much more relaxed, which just lying down wouldn't really give you that sense of feeling. Anyway, I hope that's just explained it a little bit more. Obviously, if it's still as clear as mud, let me know and I'll have another go at it, just to see if I can explain it a little bit better. I think sometimes we try and get our heads around things academically, and the answers sometimes aren't quite definitely there. Obviously, over the years, I just know that it works because I have clients who get, much better from whatever their conditions are, feel much happier, feel more balanced, all of this kind of stuff. Is that intention? Is that energy moving? I don't really know. I don't think anybody really knows exactly at this really basic level, at this quantum physics level, really what's going on. The only thing the scientists say is it's weird, really, really weird. Anyway, on that note, Therapy Ted has finished doing his bit of the weird. think I have said everything that I wanted to say. Oh yes, there was one other thing actually. Somebody asked about how when I take the remedies, how does that affect you? And again, we're doing the same thing. The fact that I'm taking a remedy, whether it's a Bach flower remedy or a phytobiophysics essence, or we're using one of the sprays, then I take that energy in, and because we are connected, then you get the energy balance as well as me. I think there is a lovely quote about the beating of a butterfly's wing, the fact that it beats here and you can feel it's felt in Japan. I think the other thing that I've just thought about is that there is, if you drop a pebble into a pond, still pond, you see the ripples going out and out and out and out and out. And I think that's a little bit of a visual about how this works, is the fact that the ripples keep on going. Now, when they hit the shore, we think the ripple stops, but it doesn't. It continues to go through the land, just getting quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter, to the point where none of our instruments will be able to pick it up, but it's probably still going. Anyway, Therapy Ted and I will say goodbye today. If you've really enjoyed this, please comment below if you've still got questions. And obviously, if this is the first time coming here, please subscribe if you fancy some more. I upload every Tuesday now. All right. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you next Tuesday along with Therapy Ted.